We've been talking about the FBI for the last few days, and I keep thinking we're going to move on to another topic, but they keep hitting us, this time coming now from Dan Bongino, and now saying, hey, we mentioned those 3 big issues that we were going to reopen. That was, of course, the drugs found in the White House, which, again, I kind of said that of the concerns, that is my least. Then there was the leaking of the Dobbs decision. To me, that is the most. I would really love some sort of resolution and answers to that one. And then the third being the pipe bombs that were placed during the January 6th situation. Now, these were pipe bombs that were not. Let's go through the background of this, because it's been many years. Many of you may not remember this. They were planted at the RNC, DNC headquarters.
Correct.
Never proven who did it, though there's footage. These were they real pipe bombs? There's all these issues with what they actually were.
Yeah, and there's a lot of information in theory out there about whether or not they did not detonate. The fact that they didn't detonate and they haven't caught someone, there have been a lot of theories about who that person was. Was this trying to increase more outrage? And were they even real? Were they inert? So there's a lot of discussion, especially on X and places like that, about why this is kind of this mystery and why it's been allowed to linger. But Dan Bongino, in this interview with Fox, said that they are closing in on some suspects. We should take a listen and hear it from him. Bite 3.
We had to fix it and rebuild public trust. One of the ways to do it is these cases of significant public interest that matter. You know, we had 2 pipe bombs planted on January 6th. I mean, we were told by partisan actors out there this was the insurrection, the world was going to fall apart, and no one seemed to show any interest in this case. The second we got in, I put a team on it, and I said, I want answers on this. And I'm pretty confident that we're closing in on some suspects.
I feel like this was a forgotten part of this entire. I mean, I had been thinking about this in years. So when he reopened this and now says they think that they are closing in on suspects after just a few weeks of it being open, I think that is something that should be, it should be looked at to see why was it closed in the first place if it was so theoretically easy, if you will. I mean, of course, it's not easy, but it wasn't some aggressive amount of time. It wasn't years and years to find these suspects. This also is when sort of a media week, it feels like, for the FBI, as you've seen Kash Patel and Dan Bongino making a lot of these appearances, somewhat, I'm sure, to soften some of your thoughts, as they know that there's some negativity surrounding their department right now due to what people feel like have been delays when it comes to things like the Jeffrey Epstein files or the issues that came upon from the Kennedy files. A lot of things that happened that the FBI was getting a bit of a bad rap once again, but now you have them coming up trying to not only clean that up, but say, okay, you may not get exactly what you want from those topics right now, but here's some stuff we can at least give you. We have to kind of, again, reframe what the FBI is. I think from so many years now, we've thought of the FBI as, maybe a little corrupt, maybe having some issues. And I think it's been difficult for people as they've seen the red tape to get through it. And you saw Kash Patel and Dan Bongino both saying, hey, we found out there's a lot of good people working behind the scenes here. A lot of good people who really want the FBI to be doing the job that they said they were going to do. A lot of people came to work here for the right reasons. So we're going to try to get that back on track. And one of those is to reopen 3 cases. And the one they said today that looks like they may have some suspects already lined up was the pipe bombs that were planted in January in 2021 at both the Republican and the Democratic headquarters, the RNC and the DNC headquarters. These were not detonated. It became a minor story, but really when you look at it, it should be one of those stories where, like you said, well, if they were able to identify so many people in the crowd, people who are not celebrities, go to their houses and all this. So you have someone who planted bombs, video footage, I believe, of them planting the bombs, but we don't know who they are. It sounds like the Bongino group has a pretty good idea who they are, and they're going to be making some changes.
That's right. And once again, these were actual explosive devices. These are pipe bombs that were placed for political reasons at political targets. That is terroristic activity. You would think that the FBI would have put all of their resources on that instead of maybe some of the people that got scooped up in the January 6th prosecutions that were just on the mall, things of that nature. They were able to go after and target with cell phone records and find where people were. And then they created this entire narrative of domestic violent extremists out of what happened that day. And they used that narrative for years to go after conservatives and conservative speech. They weaponized to some degree January 6th to their own advantage by using that to then go after and suppress speech. There's a interview I saw with Tulsi Gabbard where she talked about how far that went with the weaponizing and turning people into this domestic violent terrorist or extremist tag that they were using against people just for political beliefs, not even for any action. So when you think about how far they took that line, someone that was there in D.C. on January 6th and placed bombs, that didn't seem to fit their narrative for some reason. And I think that's why it opened so many questions to so many people, including Dan Bongino. This was something he, in his broadcasting capacity, was very focused on because to him, it didn't pass the smell test. He knows the capabilities of federal law enforcement. He knows how serious it is when there are pipe bombs placed somewhere. And yet that side of the story was kind of swept under the rug. So there's a little bit of a passion project, I think, for him there. But at the end of the day, we're going to see where it goes from here. And hopefully they can get some answers and resolve that so it isn't a lingering question. So there aren't more conspiracy theories that combine and grow out of the inaction of the Bureau.
Yeah, and this comes obviously on the heels of the James Comey seashell mess that really brought a lot of this back into the news, that brought sort of FBI corruption back into the news. That whole, I'm just a simple grandpa who was walking around the beach, saw a shell formation and thought, oh, look, they're sharing their political views. It's really cool. It's really fun to share this on Instagram. Of course, not knowing and saying he doesn't know what they are, saying that he doesn't know what 86 means. I think that the man certainly hasn't been the most forthcoming and the most truthful over the years. So I don't really find anything he says to have credibility. He'll play that sort of aw shucks person, but we know, Will, that's not really what we're dealing with. You're dealing with someone who's trying to get some press right now.
Right. I mean, this is the man who tried to present this Boy Scout image of himself and the aw shucks, as you said, and even the folksy way he would talk about, well, Lordy, I hope there's tapes, all of these things that he would say. And then he writes the book, A Higher Loyalty. And he positions himself, and in his mind, it seems, I'm not actually able to peer inside the mind of James Comey, but in his mind, it seems like he truly believes that he is the beacon of morality and right and wrong in the United States of America and the world, or else he would go away. He would just stop weighing in on these things. But instead, he thinks that whatever he says is like gospel truth about morality in America and the way this country should operate. And it's not just someone giving political opinions that goes on TV and is aggressive or is very firm in their beliefs. The way he talks, that slow cadence and the way he almost talks down to people, like in that interview where he talked about Kash Patel. It's like, you almost feel bad for him. He finally caught the car and now he has to drive it. Yeah. It's so demeaning.
He's been barking at the car.
It's so demeaning. And that just shows the self-importance he gives himself is quite repulsive, actually.
We are so excited to announce the ACLJ's brand new app, completely redesigned to provide you with the best tools available to partner with us at the ACLJ. You can watch the daily Seculo program, sign the petitions, customize your ACLJ membership experience, donate with the click of a button, and receive up-to-the-minute critical updates that the mainstream media can't censor. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to your phone's app store, search ACLJ, and click install. It's that simple.